Welcome to a new episode of Ambitious, Awakened, and Aligned. My name is Laurie Hawkins, and I'm your host. And here we like to talk about things that really are about that intersection of leadership, personal growth, and alignment, because we believe wholeheartedly that you can have success and inner peace and fulfillment. So we're on a journey to figure it out together. And today, I think this is a personal conversation that will touch so many of you as leaders, as business owners. And it's a topic of loneliness, about that real experience that when you step into a higher purpose and a higher level, it's lonely. It can feel isolating. And so we're going to just kind of uncover some different ways that you can create connection for yourself, that you can create a group, an inner circle of people that you can start to explore the same types of conversations with that you're experiencing, and some ideas and insights about how to go about that. So, as you can see, I'm out on location. I am away at a conference in the big city of Toronto and here at the beautiful Weston Harbor Castle overlooking Lake Ontario. So I thought, why not? We'll come to you from here. And as you can see, I'm alone. So let's dive into this topic. The first thing that I want to dive into is understanding leadership loneliness. Like, what is it actually really about? It's that weight, I think, that you feel like right here in your shoulders of the responsibilities, the constant decision making, often without anyone to really talk to about those decisions or brainstorm with. Um, it's about sometimes not even knowing who to go to. It's about having to make these decisions, having only your own perspectives and expectations. So you're kind of operating in a silo often. I work with so many women leaders, male leaders as well, in that C-suite, even in middle leadership roles, where who do you go to that you can trust and really have important, critical conversations with? And also, do you feel that you can be vulnerable and open and truly authentic in sharing some of the things that you do? We're not going to dive into this today, but definitely imposter syndrome can sneak into that isolation, loneliness feeling as well. So it's really trying to understand. I think what's important that I want you to know is you're not alone. Every single leader, business owner, founder, anyone that I speak to has this feeling. And I want to say it's been amplified actually in the last few years from unique challenges that have started to present themselves since we dealt with COVID as well. So I think this feeling of loneliness is something that we're all trying to figure out. And as Brene Brown would say, we are hardwired for connection. And so it can also really start to feel confusing knowing we're hardwired for connection and yet we're feeling a little bit lonely. So let's acknowledge this. We've talked about what it is. I'm wondering if you could pause, and if you're driving right now, don't do that. But take a moment when you get home and sit down and reflect on how this feeling of loneliness shows up for you. What exactly do you experience? When do you experience it? Is it in decision making? Is it in building strategy? Is it truly just in having someone to talk to about what your week or your day has been about? So take some time to write down the moments when you feel most isolated as a leader and maybe what triggers some of those feelings for you. I come from a corporate background, and being surrounded by teams of people and meetings where you would sit and explore and collaborate and talk about different possibilities and ask questions, and always someone there to talk to, support you until you got into positions of leadership. And once I got there, I remember that feeling of, who do I talk to now? Who do I trust? Who can I be open and honest with? And then I moved into entrepreneurship later. And that was a whole other level of loneliness and isolation. And if you asked me after the first year what my biggest lesson or aha was, it was I had no idea it was going to feel that lonely. And often I would go to my husband saying, "Hey, can I explore this with you? Can I talk to you about this?" Because I really didn't have anyone else to go to until I started to form my own team of mentors and people that I could leverage in unique ways, because we all need that. We need a place to go. But I've been there and I've felt this, and I know that it can just feel so lonely. As I said, every leader I talk to, my own experiences, um, I know that I look back and I think, wow, if we knew that as a founder, as a leader, what can we do to prepare for it ahead of time? I probably would encourage building mentors early in your career, early in your businesses, versus waiting to have that aha. I even had an experience with someone recently that I was interviewing for a role, and she had her own business. And I said, "I'm just curious, what is it that's sparking you to actually now want to move into going back into the corporate world versus continuing forward with your own business?" And she said, "I'm lonely." And that was her number one. And so, just a really interesting thought process that I love that let's just talk about it. Let's get to vulnerability. So, an inspired action that I want to suggest you could leverage is to take 10 minutes, go back to what I said about reflecting, but really take 10 minutes in a journal and write about a recent experience where you felt really lonely as a leader. Reflect on what led to that moment, how you felt, get right down to the juicy on this, and then start to ask yourself some ways forward. So let's talk about the ways forward. Building your circle of support is something that has been one of the most powerful, critical, vital aspects for me and also for those that I work with. I think that you always need your team of support beside you, your support network, your peers that you can talk to, mentors that you have as part of your team. I always say I have my wellness team as well. So we all need a team around us that we can share our challenges with, seek advice from, and find emotional support. Those are probably the top three things. So, right now, let's talk about exploring how you can identify who your supporters are. Who are they? I want to talk about this festival that we have coming up called Wake the F Up Festival. And I'm really excited about this because it is an opportunity for like spirited women leaders to come together and talk about these types of things. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because I had a dream to create a festival where we could bring business strategy and wellness together in one place. And that dream started 5 years ago. And I've kept it as a dream, and I've kept letting it brew and build. And, the little seedling started to nudge a little more, and it started to nudge a little more. And then all of a sudden I became uncomfortable because I'm not doing anything with this dream. And this past year, had a beautiful opportunity to go on a retreat with a group of women. And that group of women I shared the dream with, and they gave it energy and they gave it support and they gave it love. And then I said, what would it look like for you to be on an advisory board to be a part of making the festival come to life? And they all said, hell yes. And they have all been along for the journey. And we have now launched it. And we are all going to support leaders and women in these conversations coming up in October. And I can say, sitting here right now, I'm not sure without that circle of support, without that circle of women who kept adding energy to the dream, would I have done it? Would I have had the courage? Would I have just gone for it on my own? Or would there have been a place where I would have said, I'll talk myself out of that one? And I don't know the answer to that. What I do know the answer to is having them, and having them continue to build and support has enabled and energized this dream like nothing I've ever experienced. And so think about those things in your own life, in your own business. where could you build that group for yourself, whether it's a group of advisors or friends or mentors that can truly support you in the same way? We all need our expanders. Who are your expanders? Who are your true expanders that when you say to them, I have a dream, they say, how can I add to that dream? How can I amplify that dream? How can I expand that dream for you? And so I want you to make a list of at least 5 people that you respect, that you trust, that you know would amplify and accelerate any thought or experience that you have. I want you to just take the time to write that list down, and then sometime over the course of the next week, send a little spark to each of those 5 people. Whether that's a quick text to say, hey, I'm not sure if you know, but I view you as one of my expanders. Or it's a phone call, or it's, I haven't seen you in a while, let's grab a coffee. Or it's a dream you have and you haven't quite shared it with someone yet. Pick someone on that list of expanders and share that dream. Let's go for it. Let's amplify everything going on in your life. So, who are your expanders? Now, let's move on to cultivating deeper connections. Because I know at one point in my career as a leader, I even look at my LinkedIn and saw that I had all these connections. Were they really connections? I've met so many people in the business circles that I've been in throughout my career. And so I have lots of people in my network, lots of lovely, meaningful, awesome people. How can I take those and make those deeper connections instead of just keeping them surface, running into people at a conference or the next event? You know, you'd run into someone at a networking event and then you see them at the next networking event. So building a network is just the beginning. Cultivating deeper, meaningful connections requires effort, authenticity, and often vulnerability. It's actually about creating spaces where you welcome those vulnerable conversations, where trust is really built over time through sharing the real, the raw, the meaningful, the awesome, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it together. So I definitely have come to find that when authenticity and vulnerability are at play, you deepen those relationships that you have. Be open about your struggles and invite other people to also be open about theirs, and for you to hold safe space, not to try to fix it. We don't need to all have this Superman syndrome where we throw on a cape and we're trying to fix everything. That's not about the deeper connection. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we're asking for that support. Sometimes we just want to be seen and heard. Sometimes we want to just explore a thought and have maybe people ask us deep questions that we hadn't thought of before. So really looking for different ways to interact than maybe you have in the past, or maybe we have as a collective in the past. So I want to encourage you to host a small gathering. Maybe it's a virtual meetup with your peers, or maybe it's an actual gathering where you pull together. It might be the people that were on your first list of 5, or might be some other people you're thinking about where you just want to get together for a little think tank or an opportunity to explore a challenge that you're going through. I love the idea of a mastermind type of setting where it's ongoing, but maybe it's also just a one-off whenever you're inspired. My husband, I guess it's about 2 years ago now, him and I were exploring this for himself and talked about creating a mastermind group. And so he did. He created a mastermind group with thought leaders from different industries in positions aligned with the position he was in, because he is a president of a company and he feels lonely at times. Who do you speak to internally or externally? And he'd worked with a mentor, a business coach for a long time, still does, but he's ending his career. And so he needed something else that would help energize where he was at. And so he put together this group of 5 gentlemen, and they get together on a regular basis, and they each bring a challenge to the table. They share different opportunities about things they're working on. And even though they're different industries, the people challenges are the same. Many of the personal challenges are the same that you go through as a leader. So I would encourage you to think about something like that you could do, but plan a small gathering with a group of peers and create some sort of agenda so that it's purposeful and intentional when you create the space together. And also ensure that you discuss the energy and the importance of it being a safe, trusted place where you can all share exactly what you need to share. And when you leave that space together, that it's kept in that sacred container. It's not then taken to the outer world. So I think that is another great example of something that you could do to continue to just elevate, not elevate feeling supported and creating a circle of trust around you and peers around you so that you don't have this loneliness feeling. And so in conclusion, leadership can be lonely, and hopefully by acknowledging your feelings, actively support building a support network and cultivating deeper connections and relationships, you can truly find the support that you need to feel that you can thrive, to feel less lonely, to feel supported and cared for, and really notice how your frequency is amplified when you build that around you, when you have that expansive relationship network around you, everything inside you expands as well. And so reach out, build your circle, and support others in doing the same. And I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Hopefully, even just being a part of this conversation with me today helped you feel less lonely. We are here for ambitious people to have conversations that help you awaken and align to the success that you want to achieve and also the fulfillment that you desire in your life, where those things can coexist in such a beautiful, powerful way. So until next time, stay ambitious, awakened, and aligned. And thank you.